up? How's it going? Hope you are all good. I always feel like some sort of like TV presenter when I stand up and talk to camera. It's really awkward, but here we are. Yeah, so I got a Princess Trust grant, which is good news. Woo! Cue celebratory music. Fireworks. Princess Trusts are a charity that help young businesses. I first did their course 2 or 3 years ago with my friend Natasha. They helped me do my business plan, they helped me understand taxes, they helped me just like with all the stuff that I can't do. They helped me get my business off the ground basically, and they were doing a COVID relief grant, which I applied for. I never thought I would get, but I got it, which is like just a massive turnaround for my business, because I was stressed and struggling. With that money, I bought myself an exposure unit. Woo! Which means I can screen print from my studio. The original plan was to screen print from Edinburgh printmakers, but unfortunately due to COVID they are currently closed for courses, which means I can't do the course, which means I can't join and get a membership. So I am confined to my studio, which means the prints are smaller than I want them to be, but I can still get creating, which is the most important thing. If you don't know about screen printing, I am not an expert. I'm going to put that out there straight away. I first did it about 2 years ago. I did a course down in London at Print Club London with, again, my friend Natasha. And then I loved it so much that I straight away got a desk there. And then I did another course with Pablo, again at Print Club London, about a year later, just to kind of refresh my memory. Since then, I have screen printed from my bath, from my conservatory, from my studio at Yonder. It's super addictive, but I've not been able to do it for forever due to COVID and living in a tiny, tiny house. So now I have my own studio. It was one of my priorities was to get printing again. So the exposure unit is a bit of a luxury. You can do it with a bulb, but this just means that I will get screens exposed accurately, which is amazing. So over the past week, I've been basically turning my room into a dark room and getting paper organized, inks, all that sort of stuff. So if you don't know about anything about screen printing whatsoever, I am gonna let you screen print with me in this next clip here, and then I will talk you through what I'm doing. I do make mistakes. It's my first time doing it from the studio, so I'm still working at my process here, and I got a little impatient at some points, but it'll give you an idea of what I've been up to this week and why I have not been online and on here. So yeah, I hope you enjoy watching me screen print. Here it is. Okay, so first step in this video isn't really a first step, it's just something I wanted to show you. It's the little unboxing of my exposure unit. It came in this like massive wooden crate, and yeah, we had to like unscrew it and like bring it from Pablo's dad's house, and it was much bigger and heavier than we anticipated, but it was still a very exciting unboxing. But I'm very glad we don't have to do this at the start of every screen print. The actual first step was turning my studio into a dark room. I started out by trying to do this with bin bags, but that didn't really work out for me. So I got the staple gun out and went onto eBay and just got some blackout material from there. I will link everything below that I have used, and as you can see, it's a lot darker. And I could just move that aside during the day to get some daylight into my studio. I still have to tape the sides down to make it a true dark room, but that's fine. I think it works for a sort of cheap alternative option, since I can't get into a proper printing studio at the moment. So as I say, I have to tape the sides up a little bit to make it truly dark, but it's still a really good, cheap way to turn the studio into a dark room. So how I see to print when things are that dark is I have a red light bulb. This means I'm not completely in the pitch darkness and I can kind of see what I'm doing. I would recommend getting all of your equipment out first when screen printing. You have to do things like pretty quickly, so yeah, I would get yourself organized. The reason the room has to be dark is because the emulsion that we use is photosensitive, so it reacts to UV light, which is how you burn the designs onto your screen. So that's me getting my emulsion out now. I put that in a coating trough, and then I'm just making sure it's even all the way to the edges of the trough so it hits the screen evenly. I just do one coat of the emulsion on my screen. Some people do back and front. It's just not the way I was taught to do it, so I don't do it. You want that to be as smooth and as even as possible. You'll see there mine is not particularly smooth or even because the trough that I use is actually too big for that screen. Everything I have is for an A3 screen, but I can't use that just now because big studios are closed. Next up is drying your screen. So I now have a setup with a fan heater. I lie the screen flat so the emulsion dries as evenly as possible, and I just leave that until it is fully dry. Not touch dry, fully dry. While that's drying, I just put the leftover emulsion back into the pot because we don't like waste around here. We try and save as much of our materials as possible. When I used to dry the screens at home, it would take something like 12 hours, but this little fan heater setup seems to work pretty well and only takes 15 to 20 minutes. But again, make sure it's fully dry, not just touch dry. Once it is bone dry, you can do the fun bit and expose. So with these types of units, you put the print down how you want it to be on your print. Try and match that up to your screen as central and as evenly as possible. If it's not a big deal, but it just makes registration process later on much easier if you do. Each of these machines and processes obviously take different times and stuff, so I'm not gonna go through exactly what I'm doing here. I'm gonna link some videos of people doing screen printing at home with UV bulb and with sunlight even. There's really loads of different ways you can do it if you want to give it a go at home. I just do really detailed work, so I need the exposure to be as accurate as possible. So my designs work out, and I would usually use a professional studio. Because of COVID, that's why I now have this beast of a machine in my own studio. So that is the vacuum just working now, which pushes the screen right up against the glass, and then the UV exposure will take place. This whole process takes about 90 seconds, which is just fully insane and amazing. But yeah, as I say, if you want to do this at home or another way, each process is different, so I can't give you exact settings because you might not have exactly the same machine as I do. Once that is done its job, then we take our screens through to the kitchen or wherever you're going to wash out your screens, and we wash out the ink that is has not hardened under the UV, and hopefully you should have a perfect design if all has gone well. Take that back through to the studio, make sure it's dry, and tape it up. You might have noticed I taped mine up before I exposed it. Don't do that. I was taking a shortcut, it didn't work out, I wouldn't advise it. I'm just checking it up at the light to see if there's any pinholes. If there are, cover those up with tape because you don't want any little holes in the emulsion to come through onto your print. Or maybe you do, maybe that's your style, I don't. So yeah, you just tape up any little holes or anything that you can see on your screen as well as the edges. I just use normal postage tape, but make sure you put it against your clothes or something first so there's slightly less stick, or else it is really hard to get off your screen. After that, we get onto the fun part, actually printing. I just have a couple of clamps screwed into a piece of wood. It's a very simple setup. You can get clamps that sort of attach to a table and all sorts of things. I just wanted a semi-permanent setup, so I just attach that onto the board so it's all nice and secure and even, and then I register my screen with the paper. We're using A4 today, so it's pretty easy. I just folded my paper in half, then in half again, and drew a big black cross in the middle, and then registered my screen to that black cross, so I know the center of the print would be on the center of the paper. After that, I just tape down 2 rulers, one on each side. That means I can easily slide the bits of paper in and out, and they'll be perfectly registered without too much hassle, so every print will look hopefully exactly the same. Make sure I have all my equipment out, but move it out of my way so I don't knock it over. So I've got my squeegee, my ink, I've got a water spray, and I've got some kitchen towel because I'm always getting ink on my hands and then getting it on the prints, which is very annoying. Okay, so now pop the ink onto the screen and then we flood the screen. We don't print on the paper straight away. Lift the screen up and flood it, and then pull the ink back over your piece of paper, and then hopefully you should have a perfect print. And then you do that each time. Lift, flood the screen, and then it is ready to print for the next one. Try not to drop your equipment. Yay, we have a perfect print. So that is how I screen print. As I say, it was kind of chaotic and all over the place because I've not done it in the studio before, and I've also just not printed in quite a while. There's a few things that I would not do again, but you learn every time. It's a different experience every time. The prints turn out differently. Here's some of the finished results. This one is actually really shiny in the light because I put metallic paint in there. Some of them I have fingerprints all over, which I need to watch out for next time because I'm so messy. Some of them it just didn't work out at all. But yeah, it was like a super fun learning experience. I'm sure the next time I will smash through it much quicker. Each print is slightly individual, which I really love. It's just such a fun process. I've been doing the digital prints for a while now. They're like a really cheap and affordable way to have art in your home, but there's something so special about a screen print, the fact that we made by hand. So yeah, I can take you on another sort of journey and do a video on how I go from sketchbook and digitizing my work and then doing it to screen, if that would be useful to you. I'm learning in this process too, so I think it'd be super fun to learn together. So if you have any hints or tips for me, just leave them down in the comments below. I need to photograph these prints and put them up on store. They will be a limited run and they will be signed, so they'll be slightly more expensive than my normal prints. But honestly, I think they're worth it. They're literally handmade pieces of art, which is just so cool to be able to do that again. The plan is to do way more screen printing and maybe even some t-shirts and tote bags, and like I'm just gonna print everything basically. Again, a little bit of a different video, but I really hope you enjoyed it. Hit me up in the comments below, let me know what you would like to see next, and any of your screen printing hints or tips. Thanks again guys, peace out.